Listen up, nerds. Let's talk about unlocked phones for a sec. The big wireless carriers, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, when you buy a phone from them, it's locked. And guess who it's locked to? Just them. So you can't use it anywhere else.
That's ridiculous. And if you have an unlocked phone, then you can go to whoever you want, any of the big three, or you can go to like Cricket, Boost, anything like that.
Or maybe you like Ryan Reynolds as much as this guy, and you've got Mint Mobile. An unlocked phone will work anywhere. So you're probably wondering, why do I care about that?
Taylor Center, ICT, they actually have iPhone 15s right now, and normally they're like $650, but because they like us, they like you guys, they're going to do it for $599.
$599?
They're even still honoring the last code they gave us as well.
It went so well. Like, people did that so much that they're still offering it because it just drove business. So they're giving you guys $15 off of $50 off a $50 repair. Just use the code CCICT15 for either one of these deals when you're in the store. Go see them. They're across from the Men's Warehouse at the Town East Mall in Wichita. And, get a new phone, get your phone fixed. They can do everything there.
Unlock that sucker.
Yeah.
All right. I'm here with Trav and Mike from the Cartridge and Quest podcast. How you guys doing?
What is up, Wichita Life?
I know. I'm excited to have you guys on. I talked a little bit with Trav via email. It's always very well themed. It always is very
definitely try to stay on brand for sure.
It's impressive. You're committed, and I love it. So we'll start with Trav. Just tell a little bit about who you are. What do you do for a living?
What's man. So I'm AverageTrav, IT guy by trade. Amateur podcaster by night, and really just not
very good at both.
Yeah, not very good at either. But we're really just taking a trip back to the 80s and 90s. We both turned 40 this year. I've already turned 40, and FoodieMikeC is turning 40 this year in August. So we're just trying to get this nostalgia thing back to when we were kids, like when growing up in the 90s. I grew up in Wichita. Born and raised in Wichita. We moved down to Wellington back in 2020, but born and raised on the west side. So, my old stomping grounds were really just the west side, like the West Acres bowling alley area over there by Northwest and Kinsler Elementary. So, it's just that's really where we're at, and what we're trying to do is just bring this nostalgia thing back to this area and talk about all the things we did back then.
Amazing. And Mike, what's your story? Where are you from?
So I'm born and raised in Wellington, and I actually I'm a 39-year-old disabled veteran. I was picked up by Food Network the last year I was in the Army, named one of the top 10 cooks in America. And Since then, I come back home. I've got to do some work with like the Chiefs, Royals, Cowboys, international touring bands, things like that. And it's been super cool.
The Royals? Did you say the Royals?
The Royals, yeah. Actually, Whit Merrifield, and I think he just retired too. I think he just announced like yesterday or the day before.
No way.
He retired, but I went and cooked for him, and like half the team showed up, so that was a really cool deal. But I've done a lot of work in Wichita. A good friend of mine, Annette Lawless, I actually graduated with her, and I've done a lot of work with Cake News, and I'm active in like the Ronald McDonald House charities.
Yeah.
The past few years, I've been doing some work with them. So I lived in Wichita for a little while, worked in Wichita, quite a bit, but now I just do travel chef work. I get to go hang out with some really cool people and do some fun stuff.
That is incredible. I don't know if I know anybody else with that as a career, so that's incredible.
It's pretty wild.
Awesome. So were you a cook in the military, or
I was
how did you
not.
Go? Okay, how did you make the jump to like being one of the top cooks from services?
Man, I've just always loved to eat, so I just kind of told myself that if I want to eat the way I want, I'm going to have to learn how to cook. And while I was in the Army, I picked up a Traeger grill and just started taking pictures of my food. And one day I always tag them. And one day they wrote me and they're like, "Hey, if we paid you, would you write for us?" And I was like, "Yeah." Why wouldn't I do that?
Of course.
So things started going well. I had some viral recipes and stuff, and they asked if I'd be interested in doing like some travel chef work, going to SEC football games. So they'd send me out to make barbecue for a couple thousand people at these SEC games, and things just kind of took off from there. I was had some interest from Food Network. I kind of started talking to them a little bit, didn't expect much, and then somehow I got on the show, and it just went crazy from there.
Amazing. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So you've got a little bit of background in content creation stuff.
Sure.
IT guy, Trav, did you create content prior to doing the podcast, or what's your
Not
background?
really, man. I mean, I've dabbled in like Photoshop and video editing and audio editing, but no, not really. Just being an IT guy, you kind of have to pick up on that stuff as you go, right? Because you got to help people fix problems and install software. And so I kind of knew what to do and where to go to get that stuff. But no,
Sure.
I mean, definitely not. Hadn't created content before starting the podcast for sure.
Cool. All right. So you guys are both turning 40. What's the origin story? Like, did you guys text each other one day and like, hey, we need to start this, or how did this kick off? Where'd the name come from, etc.?
Yeah, it was more of him. Like he kind of was like, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, just about like how we grew
So
up and the things
actually,
we went through."
it was an idea that started from the name, right? It
Uh-huh.
was I don't even back in January of this year. It was just like, hey, a cartridge and a quest. That's really cool. What can we do with it? And I text you and I said,
Mhm.
dude, I want to do something with this. What would be good? And he was like, I have no idea. Like,
I just make
I
burritos
don't
and stuff,
know.
man. I have no
Like,
idea.
and so we started talking about it and talking through it. And I'm like, man, could this be a podcast? And it really kind of morphed into, yes, it could. And we want to talk about retro video games. That's what it started as, right?
Yeah.
And as the very first episode we did, we actually interviewed Dante Hall, the old Chiefs wide receiver, and we at that point we're like, okay, this isn't a sports podcast, but that was really fun.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, what is this thing actually going to be, right? And so as we've kind of gone along, we're getting ready to record episode 20, and again for the second time. And what we've kind of figured out is that, man, it's really just all of that stuff from the 80s and 90s when we grew up. It's video games, right?
It's
We talk about
very focused on our past, but it's also like, hey, we're adults now, we're parents now, like just going through some of the things with the kids, the family, work, like whatever, just kind of tying it all in together.
Right. What does it mean to be our age and have grown up and now have real jobs, some of us, and like have kids and wives or a wife apiece, not wives, and like
secrets,
and really like just living, right? And so like everybody loves their childhood, but I feel like as kids that were born in the 80s, in 85, we had the best opportunity to have a childhood because we got to
some
see
cool
everything.
stuff, man.
Like
wrestling was like top notch at that point.
All the games that we got to see, just the evolution of the computer and the way that the internet has taken over, and how we were kind of the last generation to not have the internet and then have the internet.
Sure.
And like just that whole nostalgia retro thing really has appealed to kind of our inner child as we've been doing this podcast. And so it morphed from, we want to talk about retro video games, to let's just talk about being 40 and what that means, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm right behind you guys. So I was 92. So I got kind of the tail end of that. But a lot of the games, I mean, I would grow up with, the NES, Super Nintendo, all that,
absolutely.
all that stuff. So, as they say, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. So I think you guys are onto something there. So there's definitely something to like looking back and like whether or not that stuff was actually better. I think it was, like, a lot of the stuff was like better back then, but like looking back, it's like rose colored glasses. It was awesome. It was better. So
yeah, looking back at it, you're right. I mean, it's like, yeah, maybe there was times where it sucked for sure. And we talk about that stuff too, about how sometimes our childhood was crappy, but, and I think everybody looks back at their childhood, and I mean, unless it was just real terrible, it's always kind of cool, right? To look back and just be like, that was a cool thing. But, yeah, man, we just had so many cool things as kids when today's kids are just like so spoiled, like especially like my kids. Wild. It's like they just have everything, and they don't know what it's like to just have to go touch grass for an entire
or be
day.
patient for any square amount of time. But we've even talked about doing some fun stuff like, hey, I'm going to make a Dunkaroos recipe, or like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pies. I'm going to remake those. So there's stuff from our childhood that we like miss that it'd be cool to try to replicate. So I think that's something else that's going to kind of pop up here in our future.
Or like the rejection of riding your bike to your friend's house and knocking on the door and his mom telling you that he's not even there.
Right,
Like
right.
kids don't have to deal with that now. They just get online. If it's green, they know their friend's there. If it's red, they know their friend's not. Right. And so it's just like taking people back to that, and then really just taking people through that journey, because we get comments all the time when we'll post stuff about back in the 90s or back in the 80s, and people are like, man, that makes me really sad that you're talking about that and we don't have those things anymore. And it's like, man, this should not make anybody sad. Like, yes, we had cool things, but it's evolved so much, and we have those memories to hang on to. And so I just
Right.
feel like that shouldn't
Yeah,
make anybody sad.
100%.
That should make you excited and happy that you have those memories, and that we get to go back and talk about it, and then we get to push that forward
Relive
to our
that,
kids and relive it with them, and bring that stuff to them. Like the first time that I put a retro video game console in my kids' hands and they got to play Mario Brothers for the first time, it's just like, that's the proudest I've ever been as a dad. Not really, but like, it's one of those things where it's like they're getting to play some of the stuff that I played when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
that's just totally awesome.
Oh, absolutely. So do you guys how old are your kids?
So I have two. They're 12 and 10. My wife has one. He's 10. So
Okay.
we're a very close household on that.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and then I've got 15 all the way down to 7. So I've got 4. So 7, 9. Today's my 8. My son turns 8 today, and then
Awesome.
my daughter is 12, and my oldest is 15. He'll be 16 in September. So
Awesome.
kind
Happy
of
birthday. My
wild.
son's birthday, he's 2. He turns 2 tomorrow. And
I
then
mean,
I've
that's
got
a fun age.
3.5 and a 5-year-old. So
Oh
we
yeah.
haven't quite got to video games. Like they have like a pretend laptops. They always see me
Yeah.
working on the laptop, and
Yeah.
like there's some like small games on that and stuff. But did you guys, like when you first, or if they are into games, do you make them like, instead of starting off with like, I don't even know, I don't game, but like Xbox 2 or whatever
so
they're on
that's
now,
what's
do you
that's
start them
what's
with the
funny.
retro stuff?
I mean, I don't know about
didn't.
starting with the retro stuff, but like one big thing that we were on for, I mean, quite a while, we just recently stopped, was like playing Fortnite all the time. And it's funny because it's like me, Trav, and his wife are like always trying to play Fortnite together just for something to do. And it started like I got on there to play with my kids because it was just something fun to do with the kids, and then they dropped interest like altogether. So then it's like just us old people like trying to smash on these kids on the internet, I guess. But
Not doing a very good job at it most of the time either.
yeah, I mean they've got a little into like kind of some of the retro stuff, but nah, man, they'd much rather like be on their Switch or their Xbox or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
my
for sure.
kids, I didn't start them out on the retro stuff, but they're all into games. They all love playing video games. They're the little guys, the 6 and 8-year-old, they are very much into Fortnite and Minecraft and all of that stuff. And then I've built some little retro gaming things out of Raspberry Pis. And so that we've got those hooked up, and they'll play some old Donkey Kong and some old Mario Brothers and that kind of stuff every now and then. So didn't start them out that way, but they are all 4 of my kids are definitely into video games. My son has been actually working at a summer camp this summer, and I got a Switch 2 for the house because I wanted to play Mario Kart World at home. And he was gone for the last month, and he took that thing with him to camp. So I haven't even gotten to hardly touch my Switch 2 because he wanted to take it with him to camp so he'd have something to do at night.
So he can flex on all the kids like, yeah, I got the 2. It's not a big deal.
No biggie.
That's awesome. I'm trying to think. I think my brother has a Switch. I don't know. I haven't bought a new console forever. Like I was never a huge gamer, but I was always like way more Nintendo. Like it was Nintendo growing up. My cousin lived with us for a while, and so he had the Sega Genesis, and I remember playing some of those games like
Sega,
Sonic, and I think it was Sega Genesis. I think it was Spider-Man, but it was like I don't know, Venom or Carnage, like 8 Dr. Octopus or something. I don't remember. The game was crazy. I just have this one scene like vividly in my head, but
it seems that seems more like a PlayStation deal, because that's even right now. Like
we never had PlayStations, so that's the thing.
Really? Okay,
so we're never like a PlayStation house. I gotta find that game. I'm gonna figure it out. But
tell us what it was.
what's the format of the podcast? You guys have like a theme? Like today, we're gonna talk about, I don't know, Mario or the NES, or how do you guys kind of formulate that?
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of break it into segments. We talk about the first part of the podcast is usually the retro rewind segment, and we go back through time for that week in time, over from 1985 to sometimes we even get into 2009, 2010 eras, but we try to keep it within from 1980 to 2005 usually.
That's cool.
in that time frame. So we'll go through music and the things that happened in wrestling and the games that came out and the computer stuff that was happening during that time. And there it is, Maximum
I think
Carnage
that
on
was probably
Genesis.
it. That was probably it. Yeah.
And so we do that retro rewind segment first normally, and then we'll hop into anything
It
else
kind
that's
of just
going on.
what we got going on. So for example, this week I was in Pittsburgh. I was cooking at a chef conference, so that was one of the things we are going to talk about. And then obviously we had the 40th anniversary Back to the Future event that we're doing here in the Wellington region. So we actually talked with a guy who's bringing a DeLorean in. So it is kind of based on some of the stuff we've either done in the week past or some of the history, or if there's just something kind of prevalent. I did some cooking for a couple bands, Dance Gavin Dance and the Home Team in Oklahoma City.
Cool.
So we kind of touched base on that last week. So it's all just kind of, currently tied in as well.
Yeah, and then we're trying to get Shiner Beer to shout us out. We both really like Shiner, and we've kind of started this weekly segment where we shout out Shiner. We drink some Shiner and just call them out and tell them how much we like their stuff, and we're trying to see if we can get their attention and collaborate.
I'm trying to get a tattoo.
Yeah, he said he'd get a tattoo of Shiner, this Shiner logo, if they shout us out and sponsor a segment.
I said pick a spot.
That's hilarious. I don't use TikTok very much, but like I'll take my Instagram reels and repost them to TikTok. And so whenever I open it, and it's like right there, like throws it in your face, so like you're immediately watching something. And lately, the first thing that's always been is it's like somebody's getting on an airplane. I don't know if you guys have seen this trend, but they're like whatever. They'll ask like, if I get this, or can I get like a car if somebody shouts me out, or can I get this expensive watch if a certain brand, or like the NFL teams or whatever. And it's always like every NFL team like comments on it. Then it's hilarious.
Awesome.
Like, but like every time, like this is a great trend because it's hilarious every time. There's a bunch of, and like Slim Jim always comments on every one of them. Even though it has nothing to do with whatever
they're always on it.
Great. I did.
So it's like surely Shiner would see something if you throw it out there.
Maybe I need to do that. Be like, all right, guys, I'm going to the tattoo studio, just waiting on Shiner to.
Yeah, exactly. No, that'd be fun. I did see that Justin Nunley. He's the big social media guy, and this guy's wife said, if you get Justin Nunley to shout you out and you get 25,000 followers, you can buy a Harley. And he had the followers, and then at the end of that, they clipped it, and Nunley was there, and he was just on his couch, and he's like, "Hey guys, check out this video." He showed the clip, and he shouted him out, and so it was just like hilarious. That was super cool. Like
maybe that's what we need. Yeah,
there we go. That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to mention Dante Hall. That's awesome because I lived in Omaha for 10 years, and then I moved to Andover, suburbs of Wichita. And so I've been a Chiefs fan my whole life. And Dante, I think either I or my dad had a Dante Hall jersey, and like, that was awesome. When I was scrolling back through your episodes, I was like, wait, what? That's the most, that's just so random. I did not expect to see that.
So what's crazy is I connected with Spencer Ware. We've talked for a few years, and he was the running back for the Chiefs, like the first year they won the Super Bowl. And, he and I had always talked, and it was more like, hey man, I'll come down and cook for you and some of the guys sometimes. Like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do that. I'm going to get you connected, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. It was like a Wednesday. The dude gets a hold of me. He's like, hey man, I want you to come down this weekend. Can you do that? And I was like, I mean, that's pretty short notice, but yeah, I'll cook for you and your friends, whatever. He's like, well, it's actually going to be for like my organization. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I can do that. And he's like, cool. I think it's going to be like 50 people. And I was like, oh God. Okay. So it's a little more than just you and a couple bros or whatever, but that's fine. I connected with my boys in Casey Cattle Company. They sent some Wagyu and everything. So like the whole night before, I'm doing a bunch of prep work on all this. His like agent guy calls me and he's like, hey man, don't shoot the messenger. I was like, please don't tell me you're canceling on me right now. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And he's like, but it's probably going to be more like 100 people instead.
Dang.
Oh wow.
I was like, bro, so I got to double up on the food with like all the stuff I've already done. So it went from like a 4-course to like a 6-course or something, just to stretch everything, do smaller bites, but more. So I did that. And at one point he comes back to the kitchen. He's like, hey, I want you to meet somebody. I'm like, all right. So I go out there, and I've always been a Cowboys fan. I've kept up with the Chiefs because of my wife and stuff, but not like super well.
Yeah.
And I met this dude. I mean, he's real tall, buff, whatever. And he's like, hey man, I'm real excited to eat. I'm like, cool, man. Sounds good. I go back to the kitchen, and I was like, I just met this dude named like Derek Johnson or something. And they're like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I was like, man, I don't know who that is, So we finished the event, and my wife and I are about to just go back to the hotel, and he pulls my wife aside and he's like, hey, you guys should come to the club with us. And me and my wife like never been to a club or anything. And we're like, what does that mean? What do you do? Like, how do you act? Like, whatever. So he's like, just go to the hotel, change. I'm gonna have a car come pick you up, whatever. So we're like, all right, we get all ready. And then we're kind of standing there, and I see this dude look super familiar. And I'm looking at him, he's looking at me, he kind of nods, I nod, and then he walks off. And I turned to my wife and I was like, was that Dante Hall? And she's like, oh my God, like that's always been her favorite Chiefs player. She met him when she was like 18 at like one of the camps or whatever. So she was so sad that she got to, she missed him. So we jump in the vehicle and the agent guy's with us and he's like, yeah, we're going to go pick up Christian. And I'm like, who's Christian? He's like, oh, another football player, Christian Okoye. And I was like,
smokes.
Oh, okay. I had no idea. I Googled him real quick and I was like, oh, okay. And then he's like, yeah, and then we're going to meet Dante at the club. And I was like Dante Hall? And he's like, yeah. I immediately just turned and looked at my wife and she was so excited. But yeah, we get to the club and it was super cool. We're hanging out with all these people and Dante was chatting with me and I told him about my food stuff and I do graphic design and stuff as well. And he's like, you do graphic? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, let me get your number real quick. So he hands me his phone. I put my number in or whatever. He's like, cool, I'm going to call you, and at this time, they've had some bottles popped and all this stuff, so I'm like, all right, Dante, that's cool.
I bet you will.
It was just a couple days later, I get a call from Dante, and it was so weird seeing like his name and like football stuff pop up on there. I was like, man, this is wild. So I screenshot it before I even answered it. And then, so I answered the phone. He's like, hey man, this is what I'm wanting to do. I need some graphic work. Can you help me out? So he and I became friends doing that. We've done some events together. I've done some cooking stuff for him. And, it's just been really cool, man.
We told him we were starting this thing back in February.
Yeah.
And he immediately was just like, yes, like
we
had nothing. It was our very first episode. We'd never even recorded before. Yeah. And he's like, yes, I'll do it. And it's just like, that's just the kind of guy he is. Like he's just a super genuine, awesome dude. And the fact that he let us interview him on the very first podcast we ever did is just amazing. Like it's so cool.
That's incredible. It's cool when those guys are actually like as nice as you hope they would be.
Absolutely.
All right. So I was going to ask you guys, what is like your earliest memory of playing a game? Is there like a specific game like Legend of Zelda or Mario that you can go back to? Or what's the first?
Yeah. So we used to have a VHS tape of my 5th birthday, so 1990.
Yeah.
And I got an NES on my 5th birthday, and it came with Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, the combo.
Yep.
And so I was just flipping out. I really wish I could find that VHS because I'd post that crap on TikTok and hopefully get
That'd be great. Yeah.
But so that's my very earliest memory, just being 5 years old and getting a Nintendo and freaking out because I got it for my birthday, and then just playing the crap out of Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And then somehow we ended up with one of those mats for track and field with the big, huge buttons on it that you'd run on.
I've never seen that one.
Oh, wow, dude. You got to look
that
up.
That was what I was going to say. It's so cool. I remember doing the track and field. You're just hustling as fast as you can, keeping your feet like on the dots. You know what I mean? Just trying to run. And then you have to jump for long jump or something. I'd jump off the mat. Yeah, but I'd cheat. I'd jump off the mat and then jump back on the mat.
You had to time it perfectly.
Yeah, you did. Otherwise,
you'd fall on your face.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I was going to say. And I remember the dog pissed me off a lot because it was always laughing at me when I missed a shot.
Yeah, that stupid dog always made me mad.
I was gonna say I played that one a lot. I just had never seen that map before. That's super cool.
It's so cool.
I love like all the random stuff they tried back then.
Like the gloves and everything.
The glove failed hard.
Yeah, it did. It was bad.
Super Nintendo had like a cannon. The Super Nintendo had like a cannon for one of the games.
Dude, they partnered with a exercise bike company and did an exercise bike game that connected to the NES, and it failed hard too. But if you find one of those now, they're worth like $50,000.
I've never even heard of that. That's crazy.
I haven't either. Yeah, it's cool. It's just they took a lot of shots. It was cool. I think my earliest one was, I was thinking about this because I knew I was going to ask you the question, but I think it was Pokemon Red, and I was like 4 on like the Game Boy, and I just remember like I didn't really play video games. Like I was like 4 or 5 years old. And like, I don't know how to get out of the house. Like you start in like your mom's house. I'm like, I literally don't even know how to get out of the house to get started.
That's hilarious. That was kind of like Zelda. I think the very first time anybody played Zelda is like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like I'm in this little castle thing and there's some pots that I can break. And then what do I do?
Yeah.
That was fun. I broke that out. I downloaded like an emulator or whatever in college and went back and was playing The Legend of Zelda. And like, it is so nostalgic. Like the 8-bit stuff is like, it's so nostalgic. Any of those games.
And the music, the 8-bit music
was always so
iconic, dude. Like it's just awesome hearing that stuff. And there's been some bands that have went back and done 8-bit music of their songs. And that's always really cool too.
That's cool. I was watching a YouTube video probably a couple months back, but it was like the origin of Pokemon and like
Yeah.
the whole, not to keep harping on Pokemon, but like it was really cool to see like how they evolved and like the limitations of those early games caused them to make certain decisions and everything. It was just super cool to
Interesting.
hear. I'm like, I bet every game kind of has that story. Like Nintendo's like 120 years old because it used to be like a
Right.
card game company or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so cool. You don't think about that stuff, but
And we've talked about this on the podcast, but they've been such innovators, like kind of low key even.
Always
Mhm.
pushing.
They're always pushing stuff. Like a couple weeks ago, we talked about them putting actual video on Game Boy Advance cartridges.
Mhm.
And just you'd pop in a Game Boy Advance cartridge, and there was episodes of Pokemon or episodes
Yeah.
of SpongeBob or a movie, and you were able just to watch that on your Game Boy Advance, and that just seems like a really innovative and early, before you had cell phones and stuff where you could just watch TV on the go like that. So
100%. Another question I wanted to ask you guys was: is there a game that stands out as like the hardest game? Because some of those
Oh,
early games,
Jesus.
retro games, were like literally impossible. Like you're not going to beat this game.
Bro.
And I can think
Yeah.
of two off the top of my head. I can go if you need another minute.
I wonder if
But
I can
one
tell
was
you those two right
Battletoads.
now. To me, it was always The Lion King and
Yeah.
Aladdin.
Okay,
Both of
I haven't
those
played either
were
one of
just
those.
crazy hard. It was stupid. Like it was not meant for kids, and like we discovered, like it was actually created to be so hard that people had to keep like going back and renting the game to try to beat it. So it was
Yeah,
like intentionally way too difficult.
the company actually made that game so that when you rented it, you couldn't beat it in a weekend, so you'd have to go rent it again.
That's
You
early.
need to check those out. It's bad. It's
They
so
must have
bad.
had Blockbuster stock or something.
Yeah,
but,
something.
Yeah, exactly.
the first one that comes to mind is Battletoads. I think it was Super Nintendo.
Uh-huh.
But there's this one level where you have to like you're like skating through this like I don't know. There's like spikes on the side and it's like kind of like a spiral. It's
Okay.
literally impossible because it's going so fast. There's no way to get
no
through
way
it.
to get there.
Or Ninja Turtles, right? Underwater.
Yeah, exactly. Similar, very similar. And then the other one was Superman 64 on the Nintendo 64.
I
Like
never played that.
the multiplayer was pretty fun, and it was like it's kind of part of it's kind of boring, but like multiplayer could be kind of fun. But it was just like impossible plot. Like I'm pretty sure it's like one of the worst games ever made. Like if you look it up, but we'd always try and we'd bring it up every now and then. But
yeah, I know for me, the very first Ninja Turtle game, that underwater scene when it had all of the seaweed and you had to get through it, like, man, I don't even ever feel like I got past it. And then just if it has the word Zelda in it, it's it's going to be hard. So
100%. Yeah, some of the new games, it's just like it's almost more art than it is a game. Some of the newer Zelda games, like it's just I haven't played a lot of like probably the last however many, but like just watching like the trailers and watching the gameplay, I'm like this is just like a work of art. It's beautiful. So
yeah, I agree. They really do a good job, and they've changed up the art style on those too, and made different types, and they've done cell shaded, and they've done normal, and they've done like this, and so that they do a really good job on Zelda.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit, or hopefully I can get this out at least on YouTube before your block party. But talk a little bit about the block party, why you want to do an in-person event, what that means to you guys.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to team up with the Regent. The Regent is this awesome theater. It's been here forever, and it's just a single showing theater. And Jerry's such a great guy. He's always involved in his community and helping people out and things like that. So he will kind of pop up at these events and just says like, hey, it's the 20th anniversary of this, 30th anniversary, whatever. And we saw it was the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future. And it's like, man, that's cool. Like, we should sponsor that. We can turn it into an event, let's get some music. Let's do like a beer garden. I can even do some food or something, and then it's like, well, we could do a podcast live and maybe interview some people, and we'll have video games and just cool stuff like that. So I think it was more just kind of like us trying to give back to our community and support Jerry, and just, we're both very community based, whether it's here in Wellington, even like I said, in Wichita, things like that. We just love to help, love to make people smile. And we just thought, man, this would be the perfect event. And it's right up our alley, man. It's, jumps from 80s, 90s, 2000s, like whatever, with the Back to the Future thing. So, I mean, it was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, so I was at a work event in Wichita at Shift downtown. And it's a car house down there, and Bob Cummings, the guy that owns the DeLorean, has his DeLorean stored at Shift, and it was up on a lift, and I took a picture of it, and I was like, dang, that's cool. Like I've only maybe seen a DeLorean one time in my life, in real life. So I took some pictures of it, and then I know the owner of Shift, and so I was like, hey, who owns that? And he told me, and so I was like, dude, we're doing an event. We should totally try to get the DeLorean down there. And so I started talking to Bob over text. He was kind of standoffish at first because he didn't know who I was.
I don't think he understood. He was like, what do I have to do with this? Like,
Yeah.
what does it mean? Like,
Right.
whatever. But after we talked to him, I mean, he's the coolest guy.
Super cool guy. We actually interviewed him for the podcast that's coming up. And so, it really all kind of fell together. And then finding out that the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future is on July 3rd, which is the day that it came out in 1985. It's like,
wow,
how do you not do a 40th anniversary? And then how do you not make it as big as you can when you want to do something like that? So, yeah, I mean, it all kind of just fell in place, and we're hoping to have a really big turnout. The movie is going to be free at 7:30, so anybody that wants to come watch the movie, that's free. And then we're going to have vendors down there that are set up with booths that you can buy stuff from them or, get their information or whatever. Mike's going to cook for us. He doesn't know what he's cooking yet. I've told him he needs to do smash burgers. He wants to maybe do tacos or I don't know what you're thinking.
We'll figure it out.
Pulled pork. I don't know. He's going to do something.
Peanut butter and jelly.
We whatever he cooks, it's going to be delicious. So that'll be like crazy cheap. We're going to try to make that as cheap as possible for people to come down there and eat. And then we're going to have a DJ down there playing music from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, kind of in theme with the movie. And we'll have a beer garden down there for the adults to come have a nice little adult beverage. And then, just have a good time.
And the funny thing is, it's not even like some big money grab. You know what I mean? It's like, if we can break even on food, like, cool, man. Like, 100%. I want people to come in there and get it cheap. And I think Jerry's kind of on the same boat, like, as far as like the drinks and everything. It's like, man, we just want people to come out and have a good time. So
for sure.
Kick off the 4th of July the right way and just have some fun and watch a really killer movie at the end of it. So
I love it. Yeah. And there's something to like having online communities, and it's fun to like talk about stuff online, but it's a whole nother thing. We went through COVID. We had plenty of that. Let's meet up in person and have some fun and do that. Sure. Just a couple other things I want to talk about with the podcast. You guys have a store. And so talk a little bit about that. I don't know if you guys sell much through there or anything, but I saw there's like those retro controllers and stuff. And so I wanted to ask, like, I don't know how you guys think of those. Like, I don't know. I think they're super cool, but just your take on like the retro handheld or controllers, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so. I just kind of added that stuff to the bottom of our webpage just because I use that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. So I actually pair those with the Retro Pi, the Raspberry Pi stuff that I have. And so just being able to play an old SNES game on an actual SNES controller and it be wireless so that when somebody runs past you, it doesn't pull the whole freaking Super Nintendo off the TV stand, is super cool. And then the coolest one to me is the N64, because that controller is just so different. Yeah. And the way that you use it is just completely different than any other controller. So when you're playing an N64 game, especially like Mario Party or Mario 3D, like you having that controller is part of why that game is so awesome.
I mean, it's pretty imperative to have that controller. I feel like it just wouldn't be the same if you don't have the same.
Yeah. So those are really just up there because I like them, and if people wanted to buy them, that's great. If not, then whatever, I've got them, and it's so.
Yeah, no, that's great. Do you guys ever go to the arcade downtown Wichita?
Sorry, it cut out.
You cut out on us.
Do you guys ever go to the arcade downtown?
Man, we haven't been down there. We've got the collector. We're part of the Collectors Maze Network, and Keith, the guy that runs that, knows those guys, and we want. I
went to one. I think it was called like maybe like Headshots or something like that.
Out east.
Headshots is cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been there, and it was cool. It was somebody's birthday party. I mean, we did more like board game stuff, but I think there was like other stuff that you could do. We had some drinks and stuff, so it was a good time. But I mean, it seems super cool. But we did recently film in an arcade, and that was kind of interesting, like in the Dallas area.
Oh, cool,
and through the Collectors Maze Network, I think we actually might be going back to Chicago and hitting up the biggest arcade in America. So that sounds pretty crazy too.
Very cool. You keep saying Collectors Maze. What is Collectors Maze?
So we're part of the Collectors Maze Network, and so it's really just a collection of a bunch of nerdy podcasts where their slogan is, if it's geek, they've got you.
I mean, they have everything. I mean, whether it's Mortal Kombat, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Legos, like all kinds of stuff. So,
awesome.
And the guy has met a lot of crazy people. Like, he's introducing us to people. And like, I remember I made some food, and I can't remember if I tagged him or if he saw it or whatever. But anyways, this guy, I didn't know his name, like comments on, I was like, oh, that looks really good. And I'm just like, hey, thanks, man, whatever. And Keith writes me and he's like, oh yeah, that's my buddy, whatever. And he says Raiden. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. But then he's like, I looked at the guy and it's like he was legit like Raiden in
Oh,
like the
that's amazing.
90s Mortal Kombat movie,
No
you know,
way.
like he did the
Yeah. Oh,
voice and
yeah.
everything,
Him
like
and
for the
his
video
brother,
games and all.
him and his
Yeah.
brother are both the guys that did Scorpion and Raiden and all.
Yeah.
of
So I was
those
like,
guys.
oh God, like this is like the dude from like my childhood commenting on my food. I was like, that is wild.
That's super cool. That's really cool. Okay. So anything I didn't cover on the podcast or anything you guys want to talk? I guess one question I had, should people like hop in the most recent episode, or is there like an episode they should start with?
Man, I would say hop in the first one, and if you like it, go check it out. Past that, right? Go backwards. But the first one's going to be the most current because, like I said, we're talking about things that happened that week in kind of nerd history. So you're going to get the most out of it if you look at the most current one, and then if you want to hear the other stuff we've talked about, then go look at YouTube or Spotify and go backwards. But yeah, I would say start with the most current one.
And we also get on like TikTok live sometimes during our when we're filming. So it's kind of fun to have people like interact on there because, then we can kind of talk on the podcast and TikTok and do it that way. So it's fun to have that interaction as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And not that you guys need content ideas, but something I have seen that's cool is there'll be like a rewatch of like a series or a movie series or something. Or one I watched recently was like they were rewatching like the James Bond movies or like the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, and so they would like do like a breakdown of each one of them after they watch it and stuff. But that could be a fun. I don't know if you guys do that already.
Well,
too, but
what's funny is I feel like there's several things like he'll be bringing up like, oh, this today in history, whatever, and he talks about this. I'm like, I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So one of the big ones was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And Star Wars. So I've got through some of the Star Wars. So
You've never seen Star Wars before. This guy's born in '85.
That is crazy.
Never seen Star Wars before. Never really seen Lord of the Rings.
No. So I think that's something we're actually going to do with the Regent. We're going to have like a 3-day event or something, and we're going to do a Lord of the Rings kind of watch party thing, and then I'll be able to jump back in here and talk about it.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, for
try
sure.
to make sense of it all.
But I definitely like those like rewatch kind of things where you go back through and rewatch some things. It gets tricky because I use a tool that posts to kind of all the platforms, and they all have such different rules that you just kind of have to be careful on like the content that you're using because you'll get banned on some of them.
Well, even if it's just like you guys talking about it after, like that's something like, because then you could watch the movie or somebody could watch the movie and like, I don't know, maybe they haven't seen Lord of the Rings or they haven't seen Back to the Future or something, but then you guys are kind of breaking it down and like memories that you have with it or whatever. And it's like, it's like you're talking with a group of friends. Those are fun.
Yeah, those are cool. We actually did that on one of our first episodes with the movie Grandma's Boy. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, we did that with that movie. So that movie's wild.
Don't watch it. I haven't seen that for a long time, but that was a funny one. Okay, so what is your favorite part or hidden gem of Wichita or Wellington, whichever you want to take?
Yeah, you cut out again, but you're asking the favorite part of the hidden gem of Wichita or what?
Or Wellington, if you guys want. If you have a hidden gem of Wellington.
I think we can go Wichita.
So for me, it's like I'm a big food guy. So I mean, I love connecting with these people. Jason Favres, like he's a really good guy. He was on Food Network as well, and I've met some of these food bloggers as well. So for me, a lot of it is like hitting the markets and hitting up some of these really cool restaurant spots. I'm trying to think of just some ones that I really enjoy, but I've lately been doing a lot more of like the hole in the wall Mexican spots because like I feel like they have the more authentic stuff like that I had in Mexico. You know what I mean? So man, I feel like it's tough to say just one, but I've always loved like Sabor has been good. George's,
so good, man.
Even like Newport. My wife and I like going to Newport just for a fun place to sit outside and do all that stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of like Coco Dolce. I've had some experience with Bertolli there. Doing some chocolate.
I had the best chocolate I've ever had from Coco Dolce.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
It's so good.
So good, man. For me, it's just the College Hill area. I mean, the College Hill area in Wichita is just so awesome, especially during the holidays. Those people do it up really good down there with decorating their houses and just all the stuff that happens. And then the parks that are in the area down there are just super pretty and nice. So it's that College Hill area, man. If we moved back to Wichita, there'd be no question where we'd be moving to. It'd be College Hill somewhere.
100%. No, I love College Hill area. I just have one more question before we kind of shout out where people can find you, but we'll start with Mike. But what does Wichita mean to you?
Man, I love the freedom that is there. Just I feel like anything that you want to do or you want to be a part of, it's like there are people there for you, and it's such an amazing place because I mean, really, like it has everything. Like for me, it's like there's anything that you could want to possibly do. All the groups, like I was a musician there for a little while, and it was cool to find no matter what, no matter where you went, like you had like-minded people, and it was always like inviting and just a great place, man. Wichita is just a vibe, and it's enough of a big city that you can get what you want and find all these eclectic things, but at the same time, it's not like you're in downtown Dallas
You
or
can
something
get
like
to any of
that.
those
And
places in 15 minutes.
exactly. So it's not like some horrible thing because I mean, being from Wellington, there's like 8,000 people here. And I remember going to like New York City for the first time for Food Network, and it was just chaos. Like it was crazy.
Mhm.
And so it made me really appreciate where I'm from because I remember even thinking like, man, Wichita traffic is like nothing compared to like any of these other
Right.
places I've been. So it has a very like small town feel, but it's obviously bigger than what I'm used to. So man, I don't know. I just love Wichita. I think there's just a great following, great people, art. Like it's amazing.
I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
mean, for me, it's really. I know I live in Wellington, but Wichita's home. I mean, I go to work there every day. Um, it's the downtown area is awesome, and so it really for me, it's just home. It's childhood. It's where I grew up. It's where I went to high school. It's where I went to junior high and elementary, and so the west side of Wichita really has fond. I have fond memories of just growing up on the west side of Wichita. It was safe. It was just a cool place to grow up and live when I was a kid, and love getting to go there every day for work. So yeah, I would say it's home.
I love it. Well, Mike, Trav, I appreciate you guys. I'm excited to listen to more of the podcast. I'll probably join the rotation.
Absolutely.
Where can
Awesome.
people find you guys individually or the podcasts?
Man, cartridgeandquest.com is going to be the best place to find us. And then you can check us out anywhere on the socials at Cartridge and Quest. Check out Spotify at Cartridge and Quest, YouTube for the big episodes. And then we're posting 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day on all the socials, clips of that. So, and then you don't have to go there at all, but my personal stuff's all at AverageTrav85.
And my stuff is all using FoodieMikeC. And I have some cool stuff hopefully worked up this year. I'm supposed to be cooking for maybe Bad Omens this year, Neck Deep again, and then hopefully Bring Me the Horizon. That would
Awesome.
be another huge one for me. So super excited. I've been working with some other athletes as well, trying to nail out some details. But we'll see, man. There's
And
always
he's
cool
not
stuff
going to
happening.
say it, but I will. He was in Pittsburgh over this week and doing some stuff. He got an award out there for best bite amongst other chefs. Like the
Wow.
other chefs said this dude had the best food there. So he's really good at what he
That was
does.
wild.
Makes really good food. Not making me any skinnier, that's for sure. So yeah, check him out. Check his pages out at FoodieMikeC. Check our stuff out at Cartridge and Quest. And man, we just come
That's
check our
us.
stuff out.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, congrats on that, Mike. That's awesome. And thank you
Thank you
guys
very
again
much.
for coming on. And hopefully we can meet up in person sometime soon.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Come hang out at the pool. We'll do some food, some margaritas or something. Like we'll make it
Let's do
good.
it. Let's do it. Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.